All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Tamika Moss, and I'm the Director of Hope SF with the Mayor's Office. Thank you all so much for joining us on this really amazing occasion to celebrate the grand opening of Phase 1 here at Huntersview. We have a really exciting program, and without further ado, I would like to introduce Joaquin Torres, the President of the San Francisco Housing Authority Commission.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful day here at Huntersview. I know we have so many speakers today, but it really is an honor on behalf of all of the employees of the San Francisco Housing Authority, all the city partners who are here today, our nonprofit partners, our private partners, who really represent through your attendance the commitment that we have to the residents that we seek to serve to the best of our ability every single day at the San Francisco Housing Authority. So to Executive Director Barbara Smith, thank you so much for your leadership. And to the commissioners especially, thank you so much for your presence here today. Without further ado, I just want to say what an honor it is, Mr. Mayor, Madam Leader, Supervisor Cohen, and all of you here today to be working in this position during this time under your leadership, with your support and your commitment. And I very much look forward to continuing to realize a revitalized housing authority across properties across this city for the benefit of our residents. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you, Joaquin, and let me thank you for your leadership on the commission, but also your great fine work in every single neighborhood of San Francisco as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Huntersview. Gosh, every time we come up here, it's a great chance to celebrate. But let me begin by celebrating life. You know, we're building community here, and we're really rebuilding lives that have been isolated, and we recognize that. And one of the ways we recognize and celebrate life is to give the proper moment of silence to a loss that was suffered and announced yesterday after the tragic fire that happened in Sunnydale. And I want to just have you join me in just a brief moment of silence for a wonderful family that we lost. The names are being announced out there in the public, but Esther Ione, mother of a wonderful resident of Sunnydale, and also her beautiful son, Santana Williams. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. And that I begin with that because it's a somber reminder that there are real lives, there are real people, there are families out here. And these are the lives and families we're focused on in rebuilding community. It's a great day today. We're yet again on a hill in the community. And I know Supervisor Cohen knows this so well, and Leader Pelosi, because I am so overjoyed to be joining both of you and our community partners in making this great announcement of the first phase of the rebuilding of this community. And I do it so with a lot of friends right here in this audience, a lot of people who have joined me and joined all of us in government and joined all of us in community to say that we want to deliver on long-time promises for this community, and that this first phase is so valuable to confirm and to celebrate and to thank people, because guess what? There are more phases to come. But here, 107 units of housing, a part of a larger commitment that we will have when the whole thing is completed, over 267 units, a part of some 400 or 500 units that will rebuild as part of mixed income housing. Part of this development is that Huntersview is just one of many areas of the southeast sector that we will rebuild as well. Because soon after this, Leader, we get to also join together in Alice Griffith and do another groundbreaking announcement there. While we're working on Sunnydale, while we're working on Potrero, while we're working on other parts of the city where it's also been isolated and challenged, we will renew these commitments over and over again. And we have great partners to thank today. And I want to begin by thanking the residents of Hunters View. You've been so patient. Yes, all of you have been so patient. And I know it was hard in those early days to believe, all of us, that we wanted to do it better, that we weren't going to do it in the bulldozing kind of ways that our city evidenced in the 60s and 70s, that we left people to their own challenges when we did this. We were going to say, let's invest in people first and have them join us, create jobs, and then offer a joined vision for people. And that's what we've been doing in this Hope SF program. That's why I'm celebrating Tamika and celebrating the Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure that has replaced our redevelopment, thanking the Housing Authority and their staff for joining us in re-envisioning all of our public housing. I thank HUD and I thank Leader Pelosi because they're helping me establish the groundwork with HUD and Washington, D.C., and with our president to suggest we have a new model that invests in people's lives first. And once we do that, and once we offer them ways in which they can train for the new jobs of the future, once we invest and put together a series of services on site that have involved us with health department, with our police department, with our youth engagement programs and anti-violence programs, all on site, that investment pays off when people say, okay, I got a basis to believe you. I got a basis to join you in Hope SF. I got a basis to have hope. And this is what we're all doing together in re-envisioning our public housing spaces. And we're building community. I want to thank our development team, John Stewart Company. You've been wonderful. You've been really making some great headway on this. You, of course, have a strong team. Divine and Gong with you. The Ridgepoint Housing Corporation has been right there with their financial partners, delivering highest quality. And John was just telling me that he gets these comments all the time as, well, how much are you charging for these condos out here? And that's, I think, a pretty good compliment in the development world, because they got to then find out what we're really doing here. We're rebuilding lives and community. Our philanthropic partners have been so wonderful as well, and they're going to invite even more. But I want to just recognize Enterprise Community Partners and the San Francisco Foundation. And I'm so excited Fred Blackwell's coming back with us on this as well. You both are just fantastic partners to help us invest in people's lives. I want to thank Supervisor Cohen for being such a wonderful supervisor out here. She's out here and everything from the 3rd Street corridor to nonprofits and our work in Visitation Valley to trying to revitalize the grocery stores and the restaurants and the small businesses to having great arts programs out here, singing and dancing along 3rd Street, making it exciting with us. She's wonderful to work with, and I know the people in this district deserve her leadership. I want to thank her for her boldness on this. Olson Lee, you and I and David Lee, we all share the same basketball team. Thank you for your leadership at the Department of Housing and working with us and working with the great challenge of the entire portfolio. Hope SF is fantastic. It is something that I think more and more, every time we mention that title and that word, it gives hope to not only hundreds and thousands of people here in our city. I think it gives hope to Washington, D.C. to see models and models after we get federal stimulus monies, after we get federal appropriations to help us. And we can only do that because we have such a wonderful commitment and follow through by our own leader, Nancy Pelosi. She's been there every single step of the way. And every time I can't recognize what's going on or we have doubts by our federal agency, she's there to clarify things of what we're doing. And then when the money flows, and it does, it's because people believe and have hope in us here in San Francisco. We want to continue being a model. That's why we take on these bold challenges, and we get everybody together. And we say to ourselves, we will take these challenges on directly. We will end the isolation of our public housing residents. We will have them as full partners and residents of the rest of the city. And you can only feel that so strongly when you're out here seeing these brand new homes, seeing communities rebuilt, seeing the mixed income of residents without losing our traditional residents out here at all, but gaining for them a foothold in this fantastic city that has the ability and the willingness to incorporate everybody in the city for the 100%. And with that, may I introduce our wonderful Congresswoman leader, Nancy Pelosi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lee, for your leadership, for your effectiveness. He's a man who gets the job done. He brought to the mayor's office his operational skills, his values, and his commitment to making keeping San Francisco a city of families. And in order to do that, we have to have affordable housing. I associate myself with his remarks of all of the people that he has acknowledged this morning, and especially to the residents. This is all about you. And this, all right. It was not that long ago that we were here for the groundbreaking, and we asked for your suggestions, and you were very generous with them, and mostly to be able to stay if you wished through the transition from groundbreaking to what we are celebrating today. There's so many people. I'm very proud of the federal participation in this. I want to acknowledge Secretary Caballero and the $50 million the state of California has invested in this initiative. The city of San Francisco around the same amount at least, and more to come. And the $100 million in tax credits that the federal government has enabled the private sector, the low-income housing tax credit. So it's a collaboration of coming together. We were early with some early money to pursue this initiative. And what was really important at the federal level is while we are excited about the mixed use, that we have affordable housing, that we have market rate housing here, that whatever we did, it did not diminish the public housing segment of it. And that's an important priority for President Obama as we go forward with his re-envisioning, as the mayor referenced, of how we go forward. And there's something, part of the Public Housing Authority and HUD, the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, that it's a demonstration program, meaning, just as the mayor said, the more success we have here demonstrates that this can be done, serves as a model to the nation. So we take pride in what this means to our residents, our individual families, those who have lived in public housing will continue to do so, and more. The fact that we have affordable housing is part of it, and that we have a market rate. But none of the views were distributed that way. It was a very, shall we say, democratic, if I could use that word, process in that regard. So I congratulate everyone who has anything to do with it. Malia has just been a champion, and I know she will continue to serve this district as a supervisor and whatever beyond that. But thank you for your leadership, effective from the start, Malia Cohen. Tamika, thank you for welcoming us here. Joaquin, I've known for a long time, and I'm thrilled to see him having so much enthusiasm for the Housing Authority and the role that he plays there. Again, Secretary, welcome to San Francisco. I'm going to just say something about Jon Stewart. Over the years, across the city, he has been committed to affordable housing, being a partner in public housing, as well as the mixed use that is there. So thank you, not only for today, but for a lifetime of commitment, to housing in San Francisco and beyond, Jon Stewart. I do want to commend our president, because this is his Department of HUD and the rest wanted to see what really worked. And we know how proud we are of the collaboration we have always had in San Francisco. So I'm happy to report to him that this is such a success. We want to repeat it other places as well, not only in San Francisco, but across the country. So residents, as you enjoy your new homes and all the dignity that goes with having a place that respects your dignity, whether it's in the unit, whether it's in the public areas that are there, know that the collaboration you gave us to do this right, is going to serve other people across the country, and that's part of the success of San Francisco and enables us to do the same here. I join you, Mayor, in expressing sadness over what happened in Sunnyvale. So sad. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are with the family, as they are as we go forward in a positive way at this springtime. Seems like yesterday we were here for the groundbreaking. I think the developers, everyone deserves a great deal of credit for making this happen. Just goes to show you what a sense of community can do. And remember that in that word community is the word unity. We come together, find our consensus, our values, our goals, our respect for the people whom we serve. That unity of purpose is something that makes San Francisco great. Congratulations to everyone who's concerned here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leader Pelosi. And next, I'd like to bring to the stage the district supervisor who makes this work possible in partnership with all of us, Supervisor Malia Cohen.
Good morning. It's a beautiful spring day. I want to share some information with you. Not long ago, we did break ground in 2010 here at this site. But earlier this year, we also broke ground at the Senior Center, the George Davis Senior Center. We're going to be breaking ground there. And no less than an hour ago, we broke ground on the first Asian-themed open space park here in the Bayview community. So we are on a roll here, ladies and gentlemen. And every step of the way, we've had Leader Pelosi's guiding us, and we've also had Mayor Lee and his team guiding us. So I want to say thank you for walking this path with us. And I just want to start off with a fact of history. Back in 2007, this very site, this very development was named the worst housing development by the Federal Housing and Urban Development Department, by HUD. In a relatively short amount of time, we're here going from worst to best. Just like everything that we do in San Francisco, we do it the best. Because we are the best. And it's important to also remember who we are working for. We are working for the best residents in the city and county of San Francisco. Where dilapidated and uninhabitable temporary housing once stood right behind us, we now see beautiful, brand new, structurally sound and safe housing where families will have peace of mind, knowing that their children will be able to play in safe, green spaces right here in their own neighborhood. And as the mayor said, we are delivering a promise made a long time ago. But not only a promise to rebuild the housing we're delivering on, but it's a promise to rebuild a community. And I think that is what's most important here today, is that we're celebrating community. A promise to instill dignity in a neighborhood, and more importantly, in its people. This groundbreaking represents the revival of a neighborhood and a nexus between all the development projects in the Bayview community, from the shipyard to Candlestick to the T-Line. This once thriving and bustling community has been fighting for improvements for years, and I'm proud to say we are back on track. They are coming, and we are claiming our victory. Now is not a time to get comfortable, because this is just the beginning. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Today we celebrate phase 1 and the completion of 107 homes here at Hunters View, and tomorrow we celebrate Alice Griffith, and after that we'll be celebrating Sunnydale and Potrero Hill. I want to thank the mayor for his leadership and investment in the Bayview community. It's windy up here, I'm sorry. I also want to thank Leader Pelosi for her devotion to San Francisco, as well as the southeastern neighborhoods. The Jon Stewart, and to Devine and Gong and the Ridgepoint Housing Corporation, none of this would be possible without you. Tiffany Bohe and the Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure, as well as the commissioners that serve, thank you. And again, I want to thank our philanthropic partners like Enterprise Community Partners and the San Francisco Foundation. want to welcome back our brother, Fred Blackwell. And to the Mayor's Office of Housing, Director Olson Lee, thank you to you too. And I also want to recognize the Executive Director of the Housing Authority, Barbara Taylor Smith. I don't see her, but oh, there she is. Thank you, Barbara. I know you've had a tumultuous year. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank the Huntersview residents that have made this very possible. Thank you so much for being patient with us. I want to also recognize the Huntersview Tenants Association, WAP, that stands for We Help Our People. It's a new organization that has been born out of this entire process. I got to give recognition. To our Housing Authority commissioners, thank you very much for your service. Mothers Against Crime, we wouldn't be here without you, and also want to uplift our educational institutions, Malcolm X Academy. Thank you very much, everyone. It's a joy to be here, and I also want to recognize that we would not be here if it were not for the leadership of then Mayor Gavin Newsom, and of course, former Supervisor Sophie Maxwell, my predecessor. Between the two of them, they birthed the idea. And I also want to welcome the Secretary back to San Francisco. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing in this momentous occasion with us. Thank you, everyone.
As we've heard so far, it takes a village. And so I'd like to invite our next village person. Secretary, please join us. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll do the YMCA. So good morning to you all. Thank you, Congresswoman, Supervisor, Mayor, partners, and residents for the invitation to join you today to celebrate this grand opening. I bring you greetings from Governor Brown, who sends his best wishes for a job well done. I'm here because the state, through the Department of Housing and Community Development, is a partner and a champion of Hunters View. What you see before you was financed through innovative public-private partnerships, which combine government resources and private financing to facilitate the construction of new affordable and market-rate housing using, as you can see, innovative design criteria. In collaboration with the community members that already live here, the residents of Hunters View, the City of San Francisco and the development team created a vision that will include retail, commercial, parks and playgrounds, a teen center, computer learning center, child care facilities. In short, everything that all of us would wish for as we look at in our neighborhoods. California's investment in the project totals $50 million. This includes 2 multifamily housing program loans of $10 million each for phase 1 and phase 2. So we're in it not just for phase 1, but we'll be back here for phase 2. And the infill infrastructure grant program that delivered $30 million in grants to support the infrastructure of the development, which includes the replacement and upgrade of an entire utility system and the reconstruction and reconfiguration of the existing streets and open space. It's a fundamental understanding that if you're going to come in and build from the bottom up, you need to redo what wasn't done well or may have been old and outdated. And I think it was the vision of the residents that said, look, this is what we see happening in our neighborhood, that created the opportunity for all of us to be able to come together and to be able to deliver the pieces that make this project financially possible. But the neighborhood and these families would not be here today if not for the financial support and the participation of each of the partners. It took a community to envision the project and a community to make it happen. In conclusion, I would like to take a minute to introduce the staff from HCD that worked so hard to make Hunters View financially viable and the partnership a reality. Nadine Ford, Eugene Lee, there's another Lee, Mr. Mayor. If you could wave your hand, Janet Haynes and Ken Holder, all over there. Congratulations to the residents, the developers, the financial institution, the construction team, and the City of San Francisco for your commitment to this beautiful and transformative project. Congratulations.
All right. As As we continue with the program, you know, Hunters View represents our inaugural project, but we have a long way to go. We have other Hope SF sites, and we couldn't do this without the partnership of our financial partners as well. I'd like to introduce Richard Gerwitz from City Community Capital.
Thank you very much. Congresswoman Pelosi, Mayor Lee, Supervisor Cohen, Secretary Caballero, thank you very much. You know, it is everyone here knows about this project, but I can tell you in the city and around the country, people aren't quite familiar with it yet. Every time I told people I was coming up to Hunters View today to celebrate the ribbon cutting, I cannot tell you how many arched eyebrows I got. And today when the cab driver brought me up here to drop me off, his mouth dropped open. He said, "This is beautiful." And he's a person from San Francisco. So I really think it's an incredible achievement and one that you should all be very proud of. I do want to add my congratulations to the city and the county, to the state, also to our good friends at John Stewart, Divine and Gong, and the Ridgepoint nonprofit. I want to thank my own staff, including Brian Barker, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. He worked long and hard to bring this to the closing table. But most importantly, I do want to I want to congratulate the residents of Hunters View. I know from past experience or other ribbon cuttings, hearing stories of people who occupy the projects, how important and how life-changing an apartment and a project like this can be. And I'm sure, as you have, I've been reading a lot of stories lately. I've been hearing a lot of news stories about the high cost of housing in our cities in the United States, particularly for some reason San Francisco. I think the New York Times must have a channel right to San Francisco. And there's no doubt that it's a real problem. The changing demographics and less support from all levels of government because of budgetary constraints are causing real problems. We finance projects all over the United States, and I can tell you there isn't a city in the United States that does more to help its residents, particularly those of lower income, than the city and county of San Francisco. You have a lot to be proud of. I want to congratulate you all again for a fantastic project, and thank you for inviting me here today.
Y'all doing all right? I know it's a lot. All right, here we go. So the next speaker is one of our partners in crime. He and I work tirelessly to continue the journey of Hope SF. And one of his taglines is that this is the most important work San Francisco will ever do. So I'd like to invite Rich Gross from Enterprise Partners to join us.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm not sure which view is better. I've been sitting in the front row looking at, just gazing at the city, and then you turn around and you see this magnificent project. It's such an incredible honor to be here. One of the drawbacks of being one of the last speakers is that everyone said everything already. So I've been sitting here, well, I can't say that, I can't say this, I've done this. So I've thrown out my notes, but there are definitely some clear themes that are really important here, and it's throughout the speakers and throughout the history of Hope SF and the projects here. One is keeping promises and how important that is to the community. And I think that's been said by a number of speakers. A second one is patience. And while the residents shouldn't need to have patience, that's one of the keystones of Hope SF. And one of the things that we kind of joke about at Enterprise is that we should get Hope SF t-shirts that say slower, harder, and more expensive than we ever imagined. One of the other things that's clearly through a theme through all of this is transforming lives. We have some of the worst housing in the country here, and some of the most isolated families and seniors, and it's so important that we recognize that we take responsibility for that in San Francisco. Another theme that I think is really important is about government doing what government does best, and I want to say that really clearly. Mayor Lee has led this initiative. Speaker Pelosi has led the federal government. We have had help from every level of government, and that I can't say how critical that is. It proves what government can do and what government should be doing, and I think that's really exciting. The other piece is that it is really important that it be a public and private commitment, and that you can see throughout all this, that somebody said it takes a village, and while that's that's lots of people say that it really takes an entire city or maybe an entire country to do a project like this, and it's so nice to be here. I'm really wearing 3 hats. One, my Enterprise hat. A second hat is the Campaign for Hope SF, which Enterprise started and had a number of very key partners. The idea of the campaign was to bring in philanthropy, to bring in the private sector, because it takes a city to do this kind of project, and so to bring in national foundations, local foundations. And there really were 3 really initial groups that came in very early into the campaign that looked and took a tour and said, I get it, this is really important, this is what we should be doing. And the San Francisco Foundation is one of them. The Walter and Elise Haas Fund is the second one, and Bank of America is the third one. And so they really understood that this is a commitment to the community, and they understood the idea of patience, that this is going to take a long time, and they have to commit to the long term. So I think that's really important. They said that Enterprise calls this the most important, Tamika said, the most important initiative in San Francisco. And actually, I have said at Enterprise, we're a national organization, that it's the most important urban initiative in the country, because it really looks at not just housing, but at really transforming lives and transforming communities. We expanded in the Bay Area because of Hope SF, because we saw that as really a critical piece. The other hat I wear is that of the investor. We have $28 million into this project, but we are the investors for Bank of America. And let me say again that they took a big risk coming in here, that you had to really have a sense of vision to look at what was here before, you can see that across the street, and come in and say, okay, we're in this, and we believe that the rest of it's going to happen. We believe the mayor when he says that. We believe the city government when they say that, and that's really important. So I want to thank everyone involved for allowing Enterprise and the campaign to be a piece of all this. I want to congratulate John Stewart, Divine & Gonger, and Ridgepoint. They have stuck through this thing like no one else can, and I can understand more than many people how incredibly difficult projects like this are. So congratulations, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of this.
So all morning long, you've heard folks talk about why we're here, and it really begins with the Hunters View residents. When I get up and come to work every day, I represent the residents of these communities who we're working on behalf of. So why don't we hear from one of them? Could PJ please come to the stage?
Man, God is good. So my name is PJ. Most of the residents know me. I'm a member of the Host and Activities Committee. I'm also a peer leader, a Hunters View peer leader. And I'm also a longtime resident up here. I did live in the old Hunters View, and on the 26th of this month would be a year that I'm actually in the new John Stewart location. And man, I just thank you guys so much. Mayor Ed Lee, Leader Nancy Pelosi, Malia Cohen. As a resident, I just want to thank you guys and the city of San Francisco. What is going on up here is amazing, and I'm looking forward to making new memories, better memories with my family, and I'm pretty sure other residents are looking forward to it too. And man, it's that time, change is coming. If you're not ready for the change, then you need to get with the program, because it's coming, it's gonna happen, we're gonna make it happen. So everybody needs to get with it. Another group that I want to thank is the YMCA. Ever since the YMCA has been up here, they've been doing nothing but helping our residents into transitioning over to the new location. And I just want to give a round of applause to the YMCA. Thank you guys so much. The whole staff. To the Host and Activities Committee also, I want to recognize you guys. Thank you so much for the work that you guys are doing for our community too. It's funny how Leader Pelosi brought out unity, because that's our motto in the Host and Activities Committee, is to bring unity back into this community. And it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm not standing up here saying that everything is perfect, but it's not anything that can be changed in the near future. Thank you guys again. All the residents, I hope you guys love your new places, because I love mine. And and you said this is probably the best view here. No, from my living room is the best view up here in Hunters View. Thank you guys so much.
I'm so sorry for our last speaker who has to follow that. However, I would like to introduce our last speaker of the day, Mr. John Stewart. Oh my God. See, y'all, that's why I need to look at the program. Indeed. So, Jack Gardner, who's going to come up here and talk about why this is so incredible from John Stewart Company.
Well, that's what you get when you work for a company that's named after a man. They call all of us John Stewart all the time. And one of the proudest days ever for me was when somebody came up to John and called him Jack. So, all right. PJ is a tough act to follow. Let's rearrange that next time, shall we? But I think we do have a theme. I've heard about the village, and PJ thanked the YMCA. So I'm just honored to be able to say that I was one of the village people with the leader, the speaker, the mayor, and just bust a quick move on behalf of everybody up here. Thanks to Mika, thanks to the mayor, Commissioner Torres, Leader Pelosi, Supervisor Cohen, Secretary Caballero, and all the previous speakers for their comments and their support of the revitalization of Hunter's View. And while it's impossible to recognize every individual and supporter who's here today and all the contributions they've made, we're very honored to have the Housing Authority commissioners, former Redevelopment Agency commissioners, current OCII commissioners, the Director of Planning, the Director of Public Works, the City Engineer, so many others up here to help us celebrate the grand opening of the new Hunter's View. Phase 1, which we're celebrating here today, 107 brand new units. It's only 1/7, 14% of all the new units that are going to be developed up here at Hunter's View. Just this week, I signed the contract to begin the infrastructure work on Phase 2, next door, another 107 units, another 7th towards the promise. Block 10, which is 72 more units and is going to include a new child care center, computer room, fitness center, resident library, more social service space, and a new mini park is well on its way. So altogether, 286 brand new units, almost 40% of the new Hunter's View is complete, under construction, or well on its way to fruition. So give it up. These are all affordable units. All 286 are affordable units, not the market rate units that will follow, which is a testimonial to the city's commitment to put the residents first by fast-tracking the replacement of the old units and getting the residents into their brand new units as soon and quickly as possible. As you can see from the long list of our financial partners in your program and the even longer list of the members of our development team, this has truly been a group effort and a long-term labor of love for all of us involved, which is the way it needed to be. As President Johnson said 50 years ago upon the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the only success worth having is success achieved together. And we got this done the only way it could get done, which is together. So thank you again to our elected officials for their vision and their leadership. Thank you to our funders for their flexibility and their money. Thank you to our architects, Dan Solomon, Ann Torney, Paulette Taggart, their great team. Thank you to our contractors, Cahill Nibby, our subcontractors, the consultants, the many city public partners for their perseverance and their hard work. Thank you to my partners, Devine and Gong, including Rick Devine, Chanu Lee, Paul Carney, Andrew Berman, Ridgepoint Nonprofit Housing Corporation, Larry Hollingsworth, Cassandra, Ridgepoint's board members who would like to acknowledge and recognize for being here today. Thank you to everybody at the John Stewart Company, especially our founder, John, our senior vice presidents, Dan Levine, Mary Tustin, Lauren Sanborn, regional director, Anna Chun, vice president, especially vice president of development, Margaret Miller, all of whom, Margaret, both for always choosing optimism and for the blood, sweat, and tears that they have put into this long-term effort. Finally, as everyone else, I think everyone else who came up here already has. I want to thank PJ, and I want to thank all the other residents for hanging in there with us, for their ongoing involvement and support, and for their faith that we would get this and future phases of Hunter's View done. So please join us after the ceremony for refreshments and tours up in our beautiful community room. Thank you again, all of you, for being here and for your support. And to quote the mayor, welcome to the new Hunter's View. Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap, y'all. Do visit the buildings and facilities. I just wanted to personally thank Margaret Miller for her organization of this lovely event. Thank you all so much for joining us today.